Yep.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to Leading the Conversation from NAMI, Northern Illinois. My name is Warren Boykin and I am the Program and Outreach Coordinator for NAMI, Northern Illinois. And it's my pleasure this afternoon to welcome Bev Pomering as our speaker for this afternoon's webinar on how recovery changes when it involves co-occurring disorders and how peer support specialists can help. Now, recovery is not a one-size-fits-all journey. It's deeply personal, often complex, and constantly evolving. In this engaging and thought-provoking presentation, we'll explore what recovery truly means from a holistic perspective, moving beyond the buzzwords to uncover the real human experiences beyond them. Bev Pomering has created purpose, persistence, and power from using the adversities, tragedies, and traumas in her life as learning opportunities. As someone who has co-occurring disorders, her resilience has led her to become a peer support specialist, working full-time in a mental health outpatient care facility. She also facilitates a family and friends support group for Smart Recovery, a private support group for crisis and trauma recovery, and a grief support group for those left behind after traumatic deaths from substances, suicide, and murder. For the last 6 years since her firstborn son died from fentanyl, Bev has provided substance use education, distributed harm reduction resources, organized overdose prevention awareness events, and shared her lived experience of co-occurring disorders of mental health diagnoses and substance use disorder. She currently sits on the board for Birdies for Ben, a local 501c3 charity that raises funds to help those in need of substance use and mental health recovery. She feeds her need for self-care by working in her garden, creating crafts in her craft room, or just sitting by her pond with her husband of 30 years, Terry. Bev and her husband are both lifelong Winnebago County residents, where they raised two young men, Alex, who is forever 20, and Jason, now 24. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Bev Pomering.
Thank you, Warren. What a
You're welcome.
wonderful introduction. And Warren, if I can just utilize your skills of maintaining the chat room and any questions that come in, that would be wonderful.
I will do that, and thank you for reminding me, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a question, please put it in the question in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and I'd be happy to forward those questions to Bev for the end
Awesome.
of her presentation. We'll have time for
Awesome.
questions at the end.
Yep, exactly. So,
Okay.
welcome and thank you to everyone who is taking time out of your day to join us. Grab your lunch, your drink, and listen to this presentation about the benefit of having recovery support specialists on your care team, especially when working with clients who have co-occurring diagnoses. And just as Warren said, please ask questions and comments in the Q&A section, and I am leaving time for those questions at the end of this presentation. So as a certified recovery support specialist, I am excited to share my thoughts, experiences, and wisdom that has brought me to today. I am someone who myself has co-occurring disorders, and I am proud to say that I am 25 years into my trauma recovery journey, which has brought me sobriety from substances, healing from emotional pain, and continued reprocessing of my brain to overcome the damages and learning beliefs from a lifetime of traumas. I live now to share the hope that peace can be found, the wisdom that proves healing is possible, and that recovery should be an ever-growing lifetime achievement and not just a destination. So let's go to the next screen. And So by the end of this presentation, you should be able to define all of the terms from the title of today's talk. And you should be able to then explain how having co-occurring disorders changes recovery. And then the importance of utilizing recovery support specialists, utilizing a collaborative team of mental health team members, closest natural supports, and understanding how someone's social determinants of health can add strength in their recovery. So, what are these terms that I was talking about? And I'm going to um, get started explaining these terms that I will be using today. And you have probably heard of these terms: dual diagnoses, comorbidity, and so the first one listed here is comorbidity. And then we have dual diagnoses and co-occurring. So, as you can see, there's um, some similar definitions in these terms, but there's also the general distinctions listed here on the screen. With the slightly different connotations, I can explain comorbidity is most often used in a hospital or medical institution setting, speaking of physical ailments. Dual diagnosis usually speaks of one mental illness and a single substance use disorder, whereas co-occurring disorders refers to someone with a combination of any number of diagnoses, no matter the type. Another distinction I would like to consider is how co-occurring disorders does not focus on the illnesses or the labels. It allows a person's overall life experience and health into the treatment. This term brings an integrated approach to health and healing instead of just trying to treat them individually. It treats the person as a whole. So now turning to the next term we're going to cover today is recovery. In our society, when you speak of recovery without specifying what from, most people automatically think you're speaking of someone attempting to stop the chaotic use of substances or behavior. I would like to introduce the thought of breaking that stigma and returning to a truer definition and not an assumption. So the definition listed here today on your screen, I had adapted from Australia's National Disability Insurance Agency, the NDIA, and the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which we know as SAMHSA. I believe that it encompasses the term recovery in all aspects of life. And as you can see here, recovery is defined as the process of achieving an optimal state of personal, social, emotional, and/or physical well-being. It really encompasses the whole person altogether, all aspects. And I want to point out that it not only encompasses every area of someone's life, it also brings light to the differences everyone has. And it allows everyone to feel more welcome, at ease, included, and it shines light on not focusing on just one area of your life. You really have to focus on everything altogether. So next we're returning or moving on to defining what recovery support specialists are. The peer deliver services have been a part of mental health care and other community settings for over 150 years, with the first being noted in the 18th century, according to a 2013 article in the official journal of the World Psychiatry Association. So in this article, they have this quote from Jean-Baptiste Poussin, which is a French hospital superintendent, from a 1793 letter to Philip Pinel, a French psychiatrist. So bear with me here. This quote says, "As much as possible, all servants are chosen from the category of mental patients. They are at any rate better suited to this demanding work because they are usually more gentle, honest, and humane." So both of these gentlemen were pioneers in the 18th century mental illness care and treatment. Today, professional peer positions have continued to grow in numbers, utilizing the lived experience, wisdom to add a personal element into care. So let's discuss mental illness and substance use disorder treatment with the support staff of the 21st century. That is where certified recovery specialists and certified peer support specialists come into the play. The two titles have more in common than differences. So the main differences are the CRSS is regulated by state, and the CPRS certification is a national credential recognized by states that are a member of the International Certification and Reciprocity Consortium. And the CPRS is also not a billable service with Illinois Medicaid. I myself chose to get the CRSS certification because I do work in a clinical setting and wanted my services to be able to be a billable service. Basically, we perform the same duties. We are held to similar standards and ethics. And some of the commonalities that include both of those credentials really are defined as mental health professionals who have gained experience and wisdom from either firsthand involvement or direct experiences of physical health struggles, mental illnesses, and or substance use disorder. Each of them have been through 100 class hours of education, 2,000 hours of work experience, and have passed a board certified examination. So both aid in people who are in recovery by sharing some knowledge, offering empathy, and proving that recovery is possible. These specialists also bring hope into the human services system. They help individuals pursue fulfilling and productive lives within their communities and overcome challenges once believed to be insurmountable. In addition to offering hope, they foster empowerment, um, belonging, and just really give that strength throughout the systems of care. These specialists serve as advocates for the perspective of those engaged in human services. More importantly, they open doors to individuals to actively participate in the betterment of their own lives. And that is one of the main things that I enjoy from being a recovery support specialist. And I'm sure Warren can agree that it is so fulfilling to be able to share the struggles and the wisdom that we have gained. And encouraging others with similar paths to be able to continue their recovery journey. So from there, let's move on to how peer support makes a difference. So these images are from SAMHSA and identifies more ways support specialists can make a difference in someone's life. Key points of how support specialists change lives include offering companionship with others as they walk through their recovery journey, inspiration by crushing stigmas through showing what life can look like with a mental health condition. We make a difference with education on self-advocacy to obtain the tools, resources, and build natural supports. They offer assistance in identifying what are their goals and setting action plans to achieve them. And most of all, we offer hope that people can and do recover. Today's, let's see, bear with me here for just 1 second. So I just want to be able to show the complete explanations of what we offer. And it's not just to, sit and, give that camaraderie, but it's all of these pieces that work together to complete someone's journey. So, what are social determinants of health and understanding the role they can play in recovery? So, there we go. Social determinants of health are non-medical factors that shape a person's health and wellness. These determinants influence how an individual's um, develop their beliefs and how to process the information. They include their access to resources that tend to prioritize their needs. And, excuse me, as mentioned before, recovery can be described as the ongoing process of achieving an optimal state of personal, social, emotional, and physical well-being. So it's important to recognize that recovery, as Warren said, is not a one-size-fits-all. People struggle with a wide range of challenges, and they can include, but definitely not limited to, physical illnesses or injuries, disabilities, mental health conditions, behavioral and substance use disorders, intellectual and developmental disabilities, cultural differences, social economic status, trauma exposures, and even geographic location. For individuals with co-occurring disorders with these social determinants of health, um, recovery becomes especially complex. When you have a mental illness combined with a substance use disorder or an intellectual or physical disability, it adds so much more to the recovery and how successful it can be. The social determinants of health, such as housing, education, income, access to health care, and community support, have a profound impact on both the cause of an individual's challenges and their ability to recover from it. When supporting someone through their journey of recovery, it's essential to consider these points. Is their environment helping or hindering their progress? Has their social context contributed to the illness or to the healing? What resources are they missing that others may just take for granted? In my work as a certified recovery specialist, especially, working with individuals experiencing co-occurring disorders, I have learned that empathy must always come first. Consider this. If I am working with someone who is managing a mental health condition, recovering from addiction, sorry, and who is experiencing homelessness with no income, I must approach them with a complete view of their life. I need to ask myself, what does the full equation look like? What invisible barriers might they be facing? We should not expect someone who has a lifetime of negative experiences resulting in no high school diploma, no job, and no natural supports to walk the same journey of recovery as a person with a higher education, full benefits, and a supportive family. Those two lives look completely different in the real world every day as that person's walking through their struggle. So let's look at a story to consider. This is a powerful example that illustrates why context matters in recovery. This 30-year-old woman who grew up in poverty, frequently homeless, raised by violent father who became abusive when under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and never had access to the formal education. As an adult, she becomes a survivor of repeated domestic violence, and to cope, she turns to heroin to numb the pain. So, in the next room, there's a woman of similar age, but grew up in an upper socioeconomic home with both parents, who were both in law enforcement careers and were actively involved in her life. She has a bachelor's degree and has sought healing from recent traumatic vehicle accident. So, comparing those two individuals, would both react the same way with a male counselor that has a strong, confident demeanor in a one-on-one setting? I would like to guess likely not. And I think what we can learn from this comparison and the social determinants, um, we can learn why they have the certain deficits they do. What are their most pressing hurdles? Who will they trust? And where have they developed their world view of culture and through their geographical location? So, recovery is not just about addressing the diagnosis or removing the substance or behavior. It's about healing the whole person in the context of their lived experience and their current story. When we consider that full story behind someone's journey to recovery, we build a more effective, compassionate, and personalized path to recovery. Let empathy, understanding, and social context be your guide. Again, recovery is not one size fits all. So, when us recovery sports specialists share their own recovery wisdom, the client will gain hope that they will achieve their own recovery and success in society. I believe the real power comes from the community-based programs that utilize a complete treatment team approach with the physical health providers, the mental health providers, which include a support specialist, spiritual and holistic elements, along with the natural supports of friends, family, and community members to wrap the services around every part of the client's life. When the social determinants of health are used to develop the client's treatment plan, the team will then be able to find who are the client's natural supports, what the client needs, where can they get these services, and when and why are they going to need each of those resources. But this will also show how does the treatment plan need to be individualized and implemented. Each person is going to have different ways that we introduce these resources, use these resources, and obtain them. So if their treatment team meets each one of these points, the client will have a stronger foundation and more likely to maintain their recovery. And that is going to create a new, healthier world for them to live in and grow in. What I think is even more amazing than just receiving the care, shared wisdom, I believe the clients will find dignity and respect and a sense of belonging along their own journey. It gives them empowerment to continue going. And I really, truly think this comes from meeting the individual where they're at physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, and socially. This hope dealing connection reaches those in recovery in clinical only practices usually cannot access. Each individual has their own individual needs. No journey is the same. No two treatments can be identical. Community-based programs have proven to show increased engagement and success. So I'm going to put a link in the chat if you want to learn more about significant improvements shown in multiple studies as described in an article from the National Library of Medicine website. The article is called Community Interventions to Promote Mental Health and Social Equity. So, like I said, in a little bit here, I will place that link in the chat so you can reference that at another time. So the next couple slides are going to show some statistics that we can ponder. So this first graphic is from NAMI, showing that a person themselves are not the only one who is affected by mental illness. I love how this blue graphic here shows how mental illness ripples into other disorders and how it can demand so much from those in our family, the community around us, and the cost it creates globally. And if you're able to zoom in on those, and if not, I can provide the printouts for this electronic version that Warren can send out to everyone, which will also includes the links that I will share. But if you're able to read some of those statistics, these numbers represent only what has been reported. So when it talks about the community and individuals providing care, you will see it states 8.4 million providers compared to the over 58 million people in the US that get mental health care. It computes to just over 7 clients per provider. And I know I myself have way more than 7 clients on my caseload. And so locally, we can all probably agree that there is a much higher client to provider ratio in the real world. So the next graphic, sorry, notates the connection between opioid prescription and mental illness diagnoses. So this graphic is very personal for me, as Warren had mentioned that I lost my firstborn son to the opioid death epidemic. Alex died from fentanyl in 2019 at 20 years old after being addicted to opioids from starting popping street distributed prescription pills to self-medicate his depression. So when you have someone that begins self-medicating through street drugs, it introduces more than just addiction. It introduces the higher risk of death because fentanyl has infiltrated our use of opioids and has literally taken over 100,000 lives each year through those drug use and opioids. So please be aware of the risks that are added when prescriptions are prescribed for pain, for different mental illnesses, and every physical ailment there is. It adds risks to everyone's lives. So, okay, Warren, can you guys hear this?
No, I'm afraid we have to share we'd actually have to stop the share and share this, click the box that says share sound.
Okay, so let me see if I can do this.
I apologize for
Sorry
that.
for the technical difficulty.
It's okay. So there's a little triangle next to, or a little arrowhead next to the share box. Or I'm sorry, when you click share, when you
Yes,
there's a box that says share sound next to it.
yes, awesome.
And then when you click share it, it should show the
I
sound.
thought I had clicked that at the beginning, so I apologize about that. Can we see the screen now again?
Yes,
All right, let's hope this works, ladies and gentlemen.
The
there it
boy
is.
with the
Good.
small eyes reached into his ski jacket and pulled out a gun. I recall it in the slowest of motions, as though in a dream. There the boy stood with the gun brandished, which he slowly untucked, tucked, and then untucked once more. And in his small eyes, I saw a surging rage that could, in an instant, erase my body. That was 1986. That year, I felt myself to be drowning in the news reports of murder. I was aware that these murders very often did not land upon the intended targets, but fell upon great aunts, PTA mothers, overtime uncles, and joyful children. Fell upon them random and relentless, like great sheets of rain. I knew this in theory, but could not understand it as fact until the boy with the small eyes stood across from me, holding my entire body in his small hands. The boy did not shoot. His friends pulled him back. He did not need to shoot. He had affirmed my place in the order of things. He had let it be known how easily I could be selected. I took the subway home that day, processing the episode all alone. I did not tell my parents. I did not tell my teachers. And if I told my friends, I would have done so with all the excitement needed to obscure the fear that came over me in that moment. I remember being amazed that death could so easily rise up from the nothing of a boyish afternoon, billow up like fog. I knew that West Baltimore, where I lived, that the north side of Philadelphia, where my cousins lived, that the south side of Chicago, where the friends of my father lived, comprised a world apart. Somewhere out there beyond the firmament, past the asteroid belt, there were other worlds where children did not regularly fear for their bodies.
So, as this says here, this excerpt is from a book that Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote in 2015 called Between the World and Me. And I just think it shows how the social determinants of health really affect someone's life and shows it in a real life story. So, moving on then to collaboration and how important it is in treating co-occurring disorders. So they find people with those co-occurring disorders find themselves lost in a sea of emotions that they can't even describe. A list of bad habits, numerous false beliefs, and incomplete exhaustion. They often state to me that they are so drained and have gotten to a point of just being sick and tired of being sick and tired. They are at a complete loss of knowing how to stop this vicious cycle. I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. I would like to add to that that it takes a community to support an individual. Each one of us has multiple needs, working together and against each other to create the life we live in. To become the healthiest version of ourselves, I believe we should always include assistance, expertise, support, and resources from a multitude of providers. A healthy, balanced life through recovery is created when a cohesive team is created through recovery treatment team members, peer and recovery support specialists, psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, medical doctors, schools, natural supports of family, friends, community members, and other community agencies that can help fill the needs of each individual. The certified specialists can help bridge the gaps and navigate the journey between these services. We help find resources, connect providers, support clients by helping them advocate for themselves, and we can even attend appointments, meetings, and therapy sessions to give them that support and confidence to be able to advocate for themselves and their needs. The certified specialist can help create a communication line between all the providers to help prevent duplicate services, gaps in services, and they help the team discover anything that may be working against the clients reaching their goals. So, speaking of goals, we often help the clients begin to articulate what those goals are. So often I hear people like, I don't even know what I need, So we're able to help them think of what's missing in their life, what is causing them to not be able to achieve who they want to be. So we teach them that skill building, self-advocacy, coping skills, and help them recognize symptoms of a pending crisis to hopefully use what we have taught them to de-escalate themselves prior to needing that medical attention. So to create this collaboration, each member of the team needs to know what the other is doing. I believe the most important person on this team is the client themselves. They know themselves more than anyone, right? Give them a voice to learn how to navigate this journey from the driver's seat. So many times I have seen person after person after person suffer much longer than they ever should have because they don't believe they have a choice in their own recovery. Sometimes it is just because they've been conditioned to believe that where they're at now is the only thing they'll ever be. I believe that it's one of my favorite parts of being a peer support specialist is being able to model for someone that they can see proof that recovery does exist and the truth that can be found among the lies. It is all about finding the right pieces at the right time to create the beautiful person they are intended to be. So what does it look like when we put it all together? As I was researching this information to support my theories, I ran across another article that articulates it so well. Again, I'll post it in the chat and make sure everyone has access to it. But in this article called The Importance of Community in Healing, they state, healing from trauma is a deeply personal journey, yet it is rarely accomplished in isolation. For individuals recovering from violence, abuse, or other traumatic experiences, community plays an essential role in providing the support, safety, and connection. Now, that quote, I could not agree more. So, as our host mentioned my previous background in the bio, if you remember, I have been personally touched by substance use and mental health in a multitude of different ways. In the last 6 years since my son passed away, I created a charity based on 4 principles that embodied my son. First was people need relationships. It is biologically proven that our bodies thrive on interactions, touch, and acts of kindness. Second, people need empathy, true empathy, where you can be a positive part of someone's life, whether you agree with or don't agree with their beliefs, their lifestyle choices, and anything else, which means that you are willing to be there for them no matter what. People should be authentic. So much stress is created from Hollywood agendas and social media hype, causing people to feel pressured and stigmatized if they are not this or that. I can vouch that life is so freeing when you are comfortable with just being yourself. Be your true self, no matter what others think of you. And the added bonus is it creates community. When other people can see that their fill in the blank does not define them. And lastly, people need love. We all need it. There's a severe shortage of it in this world we live in. Nothing good comes from hatred, and seriously, love should be the foundation for everything we do. So the first letter of each of those traits I just talked about created the acronym REAL, REAL. And I employ you all to live real each and every day. Share your wisdom, help others in need, and never be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Never be afraid to share help to others in need. So that brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you for letting me share my wisdom, talk about healthcare for those with co-occurring diagnoses, and while they're in their recovery journey. So this is where we can take any questions or comments, and you can either click on the raise hand icon, type it in the section that Warren had asked for, the Q&A, the chat box, or if anyone's needing more detailed one-on-one discussion, please reach out to me. Easiest to find me at my email address of bpomering@gmail.com. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Bev. Very enlightening, informative presentation, and congratulations on becoming a certified recovery support specialist. Uh,
Thank you.
I'm also a CRSS. Um, we have lots of people. Actually, a very good question coming in. Could you please define what REAL, the acronym REAL, stands for again?
Sure, no problem. So the R is relational, the E is empathetic, the A is authentic, and the L is loving. So the charity I had created was called the Live Real Foundation, and the real was created from, like I said, these characteristics that my son embodied. Alex was always relational. From the time he was born, he just gazed at people. He wanted to know who they are and what they were about. So that created this natural empathy in him. He just loved everybody and wanted to support them no matter who they were. He was authentic. Like you knew who Alex was, and he didn't care if you agreed with it or not. He was very passionate about who he was, and he just embodied everything with love. One of my favorite pictures of him is just showing the love sign, and so that is where that acronym came from.
And Bev, there's a question, your email address again? Is it
Sure.
B
B
Pomering?
as in boy. Yep. So B as in Bev, Pomering, my last name. Pomering at gmail.com.
Okay, no dot in there. Okay, I will put that into the question and answer.
Sure.
And let's see. Here's another question in the chat.
Sure.
Well, it's a comment. I've seen wraparound service agencies such as Mental Health of America work miracles in the lives of their clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, community-based programs are ultimately just the glue, I think, in recovery.
And of course, this is coming to you through the auspices of NAMI, Northern Illinois. NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we really are an alliance because we
Yeah.
try to collaborate with all of the different agencies within our four-county area. And then, of course, we're part of a NAMI Illinois state agency and also the national NAMI organization. So um, we really, it does take a community.
Yeah.
It's quite an effort and it's quite a mission, but it is really, if you could talk about the way that you got into the recovery support specialist training program, Bev, where did you get your certification or how did you get it?
Um, yeah, it was, I learned about it through the Illinois website, Health and Human Services, and I attended classes at SIU virtually, and I just loved the journey. I loved learning more about how I could share my journey with others. And so I took the classes. It was through a grant through the state of Illinois. So it was free for me to attend. They even paid me stipends to help me with supplies or whatever I needed. And then it paid for my testing and my certification fees. And so, yes, just last month, I think it was, I obtained my credential. And so I'm excited to say that I now can add the four initials CRSS after my name. And so,
Congratulations.
thanks.
Yes, now there's another question in the Q&A. Can we still find information about your real charity online?
Um, no, I have had to close the charity due to multiple of different decisions and things that came up. Um, I do have a blog on my Facebook account, and I'm reopening the blog website, still in the process of doing that. Um, so I can share those with Warren, and we can then share them with all of you, links to those. I just had to personally choose that working 80 hours a week was not going to be sustainable. And it's still my passion. I still live that way every day. And I now work in the social world, or social services world, and can get paid to do what I love and share my wisdom. But believe you me, I still do it on a volunteer basis as well. Like my bio said, I do grief support groups and recovery support groups as well.
Mhm. And one thing that people can do is go to our website, www.naminorthernillinois.org, um, and click on the tab that says Get Involved. Um, you can see community events um, through our uh, point application that you can download to your phone. Those are volunteer opportunities throughout the community. Also, there's lots of information on both our local affiliate,
Mhm.
NamiNorthernIllinois.org, and NamiIllinois.org, as well as our national NAMI.org. So there's three different websites that people can choose to get information on NAMI events. But there's a lot going on throughout our community, uh, mental health, and of course, uh, people are dealing with co-occurring or um, dual diagnoses. I guess
Mhm.
that's one question that I have that came up in your slide. Um, it said, are the interchangeable terms, dual
Yes.
diagnosis or co-occurring diagnosis? Those really are interchangeable terms?
I leave it up to everyone to decide, because whether it's comorbidity, dual diagnoses, or co-occurring disorders, the dictionary definition pretty similar, right?
Right.
But the point I wanted to really bring home is the stigma that comes with some of those terms. And the co-occurring disorders really takes the focus off the labels and puts the focus back on the person and who they really are, because people are not defined by labels.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's why I chose to use the co-occurring disorders.
I see. Thank you. That really clarifies it. Um, okay. Here's another question. Where do you feel communities are lacking support?
Oh, well, I don't have enough time to discuss all of them. But I mean, everyone knows the social system is broken. Um, there are just so many factors that play into what someone needs for recovery. And there really are not enough providers for all the people that need services. And I think one of the biggest problems in society and our communities is they're not recognizing where help is needed. Not recognizing when someone needs help and how to deliver those services, how to get to them. And it really comes from the stigma and the ignorance of what really is involved in someone struggling in their life. And so, would you agree,
Well,
Warren? What else would you add to that?
well, I would say that we have one advantage in Winnebago County, and that is the fact that the taxpayers uh, have
Yes.
dedicated one half a cent out of every dollar that's spent
Yes, yes.
to mental health, and it's distributed through the Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board. Their meetings are on YouTube, so it's uh, open, and it really provides support to a lot of different agencies. uh, through the money that people have been willing to share. Uh, and so, we might say that we're lacking in certain areas, but we're better off than a lot of places in our country, which is sad to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the mental health, community mental health board, it has done priceless things for our community and the ability to get services to the people who need it. So I am now posting those links in the
The chat.
chat.
Thank
So
you.
hopefully you guys can get them. And let me see. I have one more. Is there any last minute?
That's a good point. We are coming close to the end of our time.
Yes.
Let's see. It looks like most of the questions, I believe, have been answered. Um,
Okay. All
Lots
right.
of thanks and congratulations for your
Thank you.
presentation. It was
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you. I
Comments.
so appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you, Bev, and you have been a dedicated worker throughout our community for years, and I hope you could to continue to work with you. Um, as I mentioned on one of the questions,
Hmm.
um, we will be posting the recording of this webinar to NAMI Northern Illinois' YouTube page. So if you want to share this recording with anybody who might not have been in attendance, people can go to YouTube tomorrow. And because it takes a little while to process this. Um,
Exactly.
and then we will have this, they can see a variety of these noontime leading the conversation presentations on YouTube. And
Awesome.
we have a comment from a peer supporter in Ohio.
Oh,
So that's my home
awesome.
state as well. So
Awesome.
that's the advantage of the internet. It allows us to have a much wider reach. Uh,
Yes.
I think that is all yes, that are all the questions we have time for today. I'd like to thank once again Bev Pomering and all of the people who have joined us online. Um, Basically, what you can do is just go to YouTube and search for NAMI, Northern Illinois, and you'll find our page our um, recordings. So it says that someone said they didn't see the links. There's one up above the National Library of Medicine website.
Yep.
Uh,
And I'm trying to add the other one there. But Warren, are we able to then email people who attended these links?
well, the links will be in the description of our of the recording.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can put them
Awesome.
there. All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
we're out of time. I do thank you, Bev, and thank
Yeah.
all of you who have participated. Um, I'm just going to type in NAMI, Northern Illinois. Just
Awesome.
and search for that when you get to YouTube, and you will see it. All right. Well,
Awesome.
thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon, and uh,
Thank you.
thanks again. Have a great day.
Yes.
Bye bye.